Hello, welcome back to Tony's Fireside Chat. And in today's episode, I'm really it's a really special episode. We have Vanessa Hung on the podcast. Vanessa, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Tony. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Um, could you please tell us about yourself? How you got to where you are right now? Because you know what, a lot of people might not know, and I'm not even as familiar.
Yes, of course. Well, where to start? Let me think. I'm now running an Amazon agency. We do account management. So I've been in e-commerce for 4 years now. I started as an e-commerce manager for a company that had multiple retail stores. So they start like approaching this online business model with Amazon. So I learned everything there. We scaled from 0 to 7 figures in less than a year, and it was an amazing experience. I learned so much. And at some point, I decided to start my own like consulting service where I kind of got more exposure of what Amazon was. And after a couple of months doing that, I said like, okay, there is a need here where I can use my skills to help a lot of sellers, a lot of people that are selling on Amazon. So now I'm dedicated to helping sellers solve problems in their account on Amazon. So any kind of problems in Seller Central. Well, that's a short version, like how I started like on Amazon. But I mean, we can start back when I was little. I was always an entrepreneur, so I mean, always doing some stuff, always thinking about businesses and how to solve problems and come up with creative solutions for stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a little bit of my background.
Let me ask you this: when you got your feet kind of wet, why did you want to sort of be helping out sellers versus selling yourself? Or is that something you considered, but or are you doing that on the side as well?
Yes, I also have an account. I have a PL, a private label, and I started at the same like 1 year and a half into the space. I started my own, and the first one I had a unsuccessful private label venture, and that was kind of very scary because I had like a partner involved and stuff like that, and everything, all the problems whether around the like logistics and the product per se. So that kind of scared me a little bit, but after like kind of overcoming that fear, I launched again, and this brand that I have is not super extremely successful, but it's very successful for the little amount of effort that we have put in. It's a great product. Everything is organic. Like we don't invest a lot in PPC or outside traffic or advertising. So that's growing on the side. That's like my side hustle. But I'm focused right now in the agency.
Mhm. That's interesting. And as we're talking about problems affecting sellers and so forth, I've sort of noticed maybe in the last 6 months, maybe there's been as many changes as there were in Amazon in the last 5 years. You
Right.
know, and what's your take on this issue of Amazon just announced recently of requiring proof of insurance?
Oh, yeah, great question. Well, that's something that we could anticipate, like with all the political stuff and all the issues that they're having legally. As a company, they got sued in different states about the products that they were selling. So Amazon was approaching the third-party sellers like, we are just the platform. We are not liable for any of the issues around the products and stuff like that, but they got like sued and they lost the case against something like that. So that we see coming, we saw that coming, because obviously they don't want to take responsibility for the products that you sell. And it's not, this is not something new. the insurance was something that it was in their policies in the beginning, but they didn't enforce it. Now they release a new change in the policy, like I think 2 weeks ago or something like that, saying that starting September 1st, 2021, they will start enforcing the insurance policy. We still don't know how that will look like, but for all sellers that sell more than 10K a month in any given month of their history, they need to provide that insurance. So that's very scary for people that don't have it. We are now like in less than 2 weeks for that date, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know how Amazon will behave. Maybe they will freeze the balance, or they will suspend some part of your listings or your account. That's not clear in how they will approach it, and I think it will be very complicated, because if we look back at the other actions they took, for example, with pesticides, and you're familiar with that. So they start implementing the pesticide policy that was always there, but they didn't implement it. So when they start implementing, they would start shooting all over the place. Like, you didn't even knew, like stuff like, I don't know, a phone was like triggered as a pesticide, and you're like, look, this is not a pesticide, so there is a bigger problem here. So that scares me a little bit, like how they will behave regarding asking the insurance, because at the moment you don't have any proactive way to upload it. So if you're a seller and you're compliant and you have your insurance, you don't have a dashboard where you can upload it right now. So it's like, okay, how can I, take action before you suspend or ask me for information or stuff like that. So I mean, it will be interesting to see.
It will be. And just to let you know, I couldn't find it inside of the dashboard where that link is. I only ever used sort of the link from the email. And my first attempt, I was actually rejected, because it seems like a minor issue that my legal corporate name wasn't exactly the same as on the certificate. So it has to match exactly letter for letter, space for space. So
Yeah.
I'm going to get that revised and send that in, and hopefully that will do the job. But I think this can really affect a lot of non-US sellers, because I think a lot of US sellers already had insurance, or they were looking into it. But because I'm based in Canada, there really wasn't much of a requirement up to now.
Yes. I had a lot of questions in my channels about, like, hey, does this apply to Europe? This apply to Mexico? And the policy is there. Like, Amazon is asking for that protection in every country. The thing is that they are not enforcing that in other marketplaces. I think the only marketplace where they release a date, it was in the .com in the United States marketplace. So yeah, I don't know how I'm not a specialist in insurance, but I know that there is some providers that work with companies based outside of the States, but selling in the States. So you need to get a look into that. I know Amazon released a program called Amazon Insurance Accelerator, where they have for now, they have only 3 providers that can help you get your insurance. I think one of them works with the international sellers, but you need to double check to see if you apply. But yeah, I mean, this is very interesting, and it changed, or it puts an extra layer of things to do in order to sell on Amazon, which is good or bad at the same time, because I feel that with this new policy, we will clear some bad actors, or some people that are not for not comply with that, or for sure there will be some sellers that will be left behind. And I mean, I think that's great for us, for the sellers that are complying for everything and are doing all the things right. But
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Amazon also announced recently about a change to their Vine review program, and they're going to start charging people for that. And what's your opinion on that? And what kind of feedback are you getting from your clients regarding that?
Well, for the ones of you that don't know, Buying program is a special, well, the only program behind like left in on Amazon where you can get real reviews within the platform. And before we have the early reviewer program, they removed that. That's not longer available. And the only one that's left now, it's that one. And it was free, or it's free until October, I think.
Mhm.
October 12th or October 1st or something. And they will start charging $200 in USA, 240 in Canada, for the reviews that you get through that program. And I believe they're up to 30 or something like that. So, I mean, after all the changes and all the news, all the boost around like getting fake reviews and all this stuff, I think it's a very a good step that they're doing this right now and they're charging for it because it makes it more legit in some ways. I feel that at the same time, for sellers that are starting, things are getting harder and harder to get reviews. And one day I was like thinking, oh my God, like there are niches and categories where there are listings with hundreds of thousands of reviews. So a person that want to start in that like category, it's gonna be very difficult to compete with the listings that are in the first page. So, I mean, they're restricting that kind of way to get reviews, but at the same time, at least there is a program to still get some. And I don't know. I mean, it's part of their game, and I don't know where they're gonna go with the reviews. I think it's even more complicated. I don't know if you know why they stopped or they took the reviews out of some listings and they suspend some sellers. It's not because of the violation of the policy on Amazon, obviously, but also in the States that's a law. It's actually like a federal law where you cannot have like reviews that are manipulated,
Mhm.
because that can confuse the customers, and it's kind of a protection for consumers. So as I'm saying, like all the changes that we are starting to see on Amazon come from a bigger picture. So it's not that they just woke up one day and say like, okay, I'm gonna change the policy. Not really. It There are like big changes and big things that are happening legally right now against Amazon that are making them change their game. So if we are aware enough to like follow up the news and kind of get an eye into what they are working on around Amazon and against Amazon, we will see, or we can anticipate stuff like this.
Mhm. And sticking with reviews, let me ask you this. I notice sometimes, and Amazon does, and sometimes they don't, they combine the reviews from the different marketplaces. That's something they started doing, I think, in the last year or so. So, what are you seeing in regards to that?
Um, yeah, that's the international ranking. And when you're selling in other marketplaces, all the ratings and the review go through the same listing, the same detail page.
Mhm.
And in the review, you see like the name of the person and the marketplace where they purchased it. I think that's awesome. I think that's a great opportunity for sellers to get incentivized to go out and do like the expansion, international expansion. And also, like if you're already putting the work in like all these marketplaces, why wouldn't you be rewarded to have like all your reviews and all your information in the same detail page? um that's cool because we now or we won't see like duplicate listings, duplicate detail pages, um and everything runs like kind of from the same ASIN, and it show up in different marketplaces with obviously their like in their native language or stuff like that, but we still see like the reviews and the kind of the same pictures maybe. I think that's pretty cool. Like it was needed, and it helps a lot with ratings and reviews, because why wouldn't you like, why don't Why wouldn't you want to have it like in the same listing if it's the same product, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's absolutely like I'm in Canada, and it really helped me in the US market because it was unfair because a lot of US sellers would come to Canada and get their reviews already showing up without selling here. So it's just, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this because I'm pretty sure you spent a lot of time on the phone with, with Amazon on the behalf of your clients. Do you have any hacks or tips in terms of trying to get through to the catalog team or different teams? 'Cause sometimes people say you speak Spanish, and that might work. I don't know if that does or not, but
Well, since I started
mhm,
in this, I was always speaking with seller support in English, like always, always, always. Then when this like all movements about like, yeah, go to Costa Rica, they're the best, blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, I mean, let's see, let me try, and I start like calling, and I know, when you hear somebody that it kind of has a Spanish background, you already know the accent and stuff. So I'm like, okay, let me see if I speak Spanish, I get a different result. Not really. Um, I don't know if that will be a good thing or a bad thing for people that are hearing right now. Yes, the Costa Rican team from the catalog team, they're like kind of the best, but honestly, I don't like to generalize because the problem is that many sellers don't really know how to approach seller support. So it's not a matter of like the person in the other line, it's that the seller cannot or doesn't have enough information to explain what the problem really is.
mhm,
So when somebody in seller support tries to help them, they will troubleshoot all the things they can and try to see what the problem really is, and if they don't understand it really well, so they will escalate it, and that will take days if not weeks to get resolved or stuff like that. So I don't really think it's something about the location where you call. It's a matter of having the right questions and asking, or having the right approach to ask them what you need to solve. So you need to go with that information, with all the details, with everything. So they spend less time trying to think what the problem can be and start troubleshooting what the real problem is. So I don't really advocate for the Costa Rican team. I think if you know how to ask questions, and you get somebody that can help you. Even sometimes, or in my experience, I had like times where I call them with all the description of all the issue, and the person in the other side says like, "Okay, let me connect you with somebody that can help you," because they already know they're talking to an experienced seller, and they are not going to give you, or they know they cannot give you like a cookie cutter like response saying like, yeah, wait 24 hours and let's see.
mhm.
Not really. So I mean, I don't think so. I don't know that if that makes a difference. I think the questions are a better um approach. So if you wanna, if somebody is listening and want to start like winning like their game with seller support, you start asking better questions.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let me ask you this, what are the other types of issues that are affecting sellers because you're so well connected and you're talking to people? What are the things that people are concerned about these days?
Wow. It really depends. I guess the system is very big, so it can be things around the inventory. Nowadays, everyone is like freaking out about their storage limits,
Yeah.
the shipping quantities. Like that's something very complicated, and I don't feel that they have come with a formula, because every week can be something like different. The storage limits go up and down every week,
Mhm.
and that's a mess, and when you start shipping stuff, it can be something one day but the next one is another thing. So I believe that before Q4, so before October, we will have a playbook, if I can say like that. Like
Yeah.
Amazon will come with something saying that, okay, this is how we're gonna approach the FBA limits and all this stuff like in Q4, because with this uncertainty, for sure it will be a very different and very complicated Q4. So if somebody is listening, I hope that you're preparing for that. And if you are relying on FBA, I recommend you to start looking for other options like a 3PL, a warehouse, a storage facility that can, um, storage your units until you are allowed to send it to FBA, stuff like that. But I mean, that's the big, I think that's right now the biggest worry about sellers. I don't know about you. Are you worried about that?
You know what? I am. I mean, it affected me pretty badly for the first couple of months where Canada was really more of a mess than the States. But I got my IPI score up by just removing a lot of inventory. And it would always work out that way where as soon as I would remove it, that's when it starts selling. And I'm just it's like a merry-go-round where I get the inventory and I gotta send it back in because of what's going on.
Yeah, that's what happened. People sometimes ask me like, "Hey, Vanessa, what's the trick? What's the tip about like getting your API better?" And I mean, it's not a secret. Amazon put it in their policy. You need to sell faster. You
Yeah.
need to sell faster, and you need to stock less. So it's basically that. You need to just find a way that works for your business, like the perfect balance between like selling enough and stocking enough. But for sure, I think they're moving into a model where everything needs to move fast. So I don't believe in the years to come that Amazon will storage things for more than 180 days. Maybe that
Yeah.
will be like the limit. That will be like unheard of at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to start selling fast. And if you're not doing that, start like looking for ways to improve your conversion, your traffic, investing in some PPC, outside traffic. And that's something cool that also changed recently. It's the bonus referral program. So for all the sellers that are enrolled in brand registry, they have this feature where they can all the traffic that they drive from outside of Amazon and it converts on Amazon, you get 10% off from your referral fee. So instead of being 15 in some categories, it'll be 5. So that's basically paying for your traffic and it's paying for you to build a community outside of Amazon. So I will like take advantage of that program. I don't know until for how long it will stay like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, those are kind of little things that you can start implementing in the business to start moving faster. And one thing that I want to mention too is that Amazon in general, it's like uh, a whole, right? So we
Mhm.
cannot say like, no, well, the IPI is something different than the catalog or something different than the account health or something different than the PPC. All of these areas work together. So once you start improving or optimizing one area, you will be seeing the reflection of that in other areas. So if you optimize your PPC, you will see that your IPIs will increase. If you see that your IPI will increase, you have more possibilities to send more, to expand your catalog, and stuff like that. So um, I think that's the biggest issue right now.
Yeah, I think one other issue obviously is affecting a lot of people, and I don't know if it's affecting, it must be affecting some of your clients, is the very expensive shipping. So if you add on the price of raw materials going up, then you've got shipping prices which are just not sustainable. Literally, if people might have to reevaluate their business model because their margins don't support this type of expenditure.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, well, I don't think that's something only for Amazon sellers. I think that's a worldwide problem. like things are getting expensive to ship out of China, and that will, it's like the snowball effect. So it's cheap, it's very expensive to ship from China, so it will be very expensive to get it here, and from the inside to get it where you want it to be, and then to ship it to the customer. And um I don't know if you saw, but Amazon, when they released the report in of the Q2, they mentioned in the report that the increase of shipping prices was up to 30%. So I mean, it's not a secret for anybody. So you need to start, and this is something that maybe sometimes sellers don't get into the deeps of this, because they say like, okay, this one impact my business. But reading those reports is extremely important. And they say there that how many, like, for how much they grow, like how many third party sellers are new, like how much they did everything, and then they put like, okay, and shipping costs increases 30%. And they put that because the cost, they the cost to get the items to the customers, so the Prime members to get the items,
Mhm.
that cost also increased. So now, if we are start seeing things and how they will develop in the future, don't be surprised that they will raise the prices again for FBA fees. I
Mhm.
mean, they also are suffering from the 30%. So it's not only the sellers. And sometimes I feel that when I talk to people, they are very much like, okay, this is my business, my Amazon account. So, like, how bad this is for me? But it's across all. Like, Amazon is also suffering from that, and expect them to be like charging you for that, because obviously they're not gonna lose them that money forever.
Yeah.
And then you need to start, reevaluating your business model, reevaluating um the product that you produce. And something that I start talking about in my podcast is sourcing from other places that are not China, specifically in Latin America.
Mhm.
We are missing, as a US sellers, or North America in general, we are missing the huge opportunity to source the products within the continent. And many of these countries in Latin America have developed nice relationships with the states, where some of them, they don't even charge for import, like customs and duties and fares
Wow.
and taxes. Yeah, so one example is Costa Rica has an agreement, and they don't pay for it. I don't think it's all products, but some of them are like exempt, and that's very cool. So I really advise everybody that they start looking out of China and start like leveraging that network that the States and North America already have.
Mhm.
With all America, there are like um, there is an organization where they gather like all the countries in both continents, and it's like huge for sellers.
You know what? Thank you for that tip. Because I was looking into that as well. Because I've got some products that I've seen competitors sourcing from Central and South America, even Mexico. Because again, we can save on duty, we can save on shipping costs, lead times,
Lead time.
just yeah, just a whole range of things. And it's something I think people aren't talking enough about.
Yeah, not at all. Lead time is huge. I think besides like all the duties and stuff, lead time is a huge thing, especially right now. And if you are, well, I think that now it's too late to talk about like stocking for Q4, because
Mhm.
we are like already in Q4. But for next year, like I believe that it's a huge opportunity, and people are missing that. And I think the first, like, this will be first come first serve, because also in Latin America there is not a huge infrastructure of manufacturers. So the sooner the better for you. If you find somebody that you would like to work with, contact them, make the relationship, and you will be grateful, like in a year or so about doing that and doing that change. I know a seller that did that, changing from manufacturing in China to manufacturing Guatemala,
Mhm.
and that changed their whole business like completely.
Wow.
They make so much money now, and the lead time is it's great, and they control everything because they're based there.
That's amazing. I really appreciate that because of the fact that, it's business and industry is all about change. And if we can adapt to that change, we're going to succeed instead of looking back what was done years ago might not always be applicable.
Yeah, but one thing, Tony, is that some many sellers, I don't want to generalize, but a
Mhm.
lot of sellers out there are like changing because the system already changed. So it's like they're changing because their lead time or the cost in China it's already too high.
Yeah.
um but we need to start like anticipating those changes. I just talk about like how Amazon report that their shipping costs like increases 30%. Trust me, expect them to raise the fulfillment fees like at some point in
Hmm.
this Q4, maybe early next year, but that's something that is coming. So anticipate that, start preparing for that, start preparing before the things happen, because that's where we can make a difference, and that's how we can get ahead of everybody else and really win this game. And I believe that if the people that already start thinking about lead times and about restocking and everything, maybe in Q2 for Q4, they will win this Q4 for sure. A lot of people will get like out of stock.
Hmm. Well, you
That's
know what?
something that
Yeah.
we are anticipating.
Hmm. Well, you know what I've always said? I was joking with my team saying, literally, the holy grail is if I can get something that I can airship in and make good profit, that's
Mhm.
where you make money because of the fact that you've got something that you're reducing down your lead times and you've got the margin to afford air shipments.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
sure it's a lot cheaper to ship via air from closer places like Guatemala or Mexico versus from India or China, for sure.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. So listen, thank you so much for appearing on the podcast. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
Sure. So our everything, Instagram, Facebook, it's at full time Amazon. So we are there for the Spanish speaking community that is listening. We also have another Instagram called Amazon a toda hora. We post there in Spanish. And if you want to contact me with something and you don't want to write a DM on Instagram or you don't have it, you can email me at Vanessa at fulltimeamazon.com. And we are always there, like all the I read everything. So I'll be glad to help you if you have any questions.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony.
Hey. So